The Jenn Royster Show is an inspirational hour with a focus on bringing hope to the world with the greatest healing energy known, divine love. Your host, Dr. Jenn Royster, is an internationally known intuitive spiritual counselor, energy healer, and visionary that will take you on a journey to explore the metaphysical world of healing within, the angelic realm, guided healing meditations, intuitive reads with callers, and interviews with guests that are making this world a better place. This program is part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Jenn, and welcome to the Jenn Royster Show. If you're new to our listening family, I want to give you a big, warm welcome. We are here every fourth Sunday here on Dream Vision 7 Radio and WMEX 1510 AM Boston. You can hear us every fourth Sunday, like I said, at 7 p.m. Eastern. That would be 4 p.m. on the Pacific. You can also tune into my show on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network every Thursday at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern. If you want to learn more and you want a full broadcast schedule, go to dreamvision7radio.com. Now, today we have a wonderful guest that I'm really looking forward to bringing him on here in just a moment. I want to make sure that everybody knows we have a lot of free guided meditations over at my website, and that's JennRoyster.com, JennRoyster.com. You can go through and you can download and enjoy them. I'm getting a lot of feedback about the guided meditations, and I want to say thank you for those that go over to the website and send me a message and give us the radio feedback. That's where you want to go if you want to bring me any or send me any feedback for the show. We also have a free video class that I am gifting you when you subscribe to the newsletter. That will give you the most recent, current, upcoming events. That will give you what's coming up for the live radio shows and all the different information and any of the articles or information that I'm channeling. In fact, on that note, I did just post one yesterday on spiritual awakening, and it was quite interesting as I was writing that. Then I realized who I had for a guest tonight. They all tie together because that one is about if you're starting to feel again. Humanity is feeling again, and more people are really coming through. Our guest tonight is an author of a beautiful, beautiful book, Brent Hunter. And the name of the book is The Rainbow Bridge, Bridge to Inner Peace and World Peace. And he's with us tonight to share with us 60, in this book there's 60 easy-to-use universal principles that can be used to help guide us and experience deep inner peace. And then also you can take this, move it into a roadmap for world peace. And I really, really like how he's laid this out. So we're going to bring him on. Welcome to the show, Brent. I would love for you to share with the listeners what is the Rainbow Bridge first so we can get everybody on the same track here so we know what we're talking about.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you, Jen. And it's good to be here with you today. So to summarize, the book, The Rainbow Bridge, Bridge to Inner Peace and to World Peace, illuminates the common ground in the world's major wisdom traditions. And this common ground can be viewed as or can be called universal principles because these principles are the same regardless of what your religion is or your race or your culture or where you live in the world or your age, regardless of anything, universal principles apply to everyone. Mm-hmm. And so the Rainbow Bridge illuminates what these universal principles are and shows how we can use these universal principles for two different things. Number one, first and foremost, is how do we use these principles to help ourselves attain a sense of inner peace and harmony and calmness and tranquility within our own mind, our heart, mind, and soul. And so the first part of the book talks about the universal principles. Then there's a section about inner peace, which includes various different types of meditations. And then the last part of the book talks about how do we use these universal principles to bring about the creation of a better world, a world that actually works for the vast majority of people, as opposed to the way the world is working right now, where the vast majority of people in the world are living in under a lot of stress and suffering.
Right. It's a very gentle approach. I mean, I was telling Brent earlier that, just looking through the book, it felt calming. The way it's laid out, it's not this overwhelming perspective or something you have to try very hard to wrap your brain around. You can actually pick this up and feel one page at a time. Oh, okay, that's helping me right now. That's helping me bridge to that place. That's what I was picking up immediately. I don't know if that was your intention, Brent, but that is what I picked up, which I thought was a beautiful approach to the book.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that came across. The very first, this version that you have right now and that we're talking about is the 4th edition, which I published this year. The first edition actually came out in 2001, and it was deliberately a very small book. It was literally, physically, it was 3 inches wide by 5 inches tall. You could put it in your shirt pocket. And I did that on purpose because I felt that my job with the first edition was to illuminate the common ground in all of the world's major wisdom traditions in the smallest number of words possible. And so with each edition, I've expanded it and added new content, but the whole idea is to keep things as simple as possible and to establish this foundation that we can all kind of operate on, these universal principles.
I like that. Now, this book is quite amazing. He has won 14 literary awards and recognitions. It was endorsed by the Dalai Lama, New York Times bestselling authors, astronauts, all kinds of prestigious luminaries. So we're talking about an amazing book. I want everybody to know that this is a pretty incredible book. And you have a few books out there, don't you?
I do, yeah. This is actually my 4th, yeah.
Okay. Now, as we go through this, now you're taking them through inner peace, which can lead to world peace. And obviously, we see that written in a lot of different ways. When people are on this path, you have to go within. And when you do that, that's where you're creating the world peace. I mention that a lot when I'm writing things. But you are going into this a very gentle way. It's taking that concept, those principles that, like you said, they go across all belief systems. It's not just one angle, right?
That is correct. It's every tradition, every wisdom tradition, every religion, and by the way, that includes atheism. I have a couple of friends that are atheists that have fallen in love with the book, which to me, I never expected that to happen, but that's pretty interesting. So it's very inclusive.
Right. Do you have what inspired this? I mean, truly, when did this? Now you've revised it a couple of times, but what was the spark here to do this? Yeah. What was driving you on that soul? I have to ask, because this is a soul work here. So it is, and that soul will just drive you there magnetically, is what I call it. You just have to. You don't know why you have to. How did it happen for you?
Well, that's a great question, and I think maybe I should explain just a little bit about my background, and that will provide even greater context. So my mother was born and raised in Turkey, and so she was 100% Muslim, so I'm half Muslim. My father was Jewish, and they raised us as Christians. And
I'm not laughing. I didn't mean to do that. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, no, and I laugh about that sometimes too, because as a child, it's all very, very confusing. And by the way, as if that wasn't confusing enough, my father was also very heavily interested in meditation, and specifically transcendental meditation, and also Zen Buddhism. But he was so interested in transcendental meditation that he brought me and my two sisters to learn how to do TM. When we were just kids. I was 12 years old when I learned how to do TM, and so when I was young, when I was in my teens, all of this was very confusing, and sometimes it kind of felt like a curse to try to figure out what does all this mean. But now I think it's one of the greatest gifts I could ever have had. Number one, learning meditation. At such a young age, and then being able to practice it ever since. But also coming from a multi-religious family and a multicultural family, as it turns out that it really is just one of these incredible gifts. So I've spent most of my life trying to figure out what religion is all about, and so that's kind of a background. Now, in terms of the Rainbow Bridge and how it came about, it actually came about as a direct result of a business that I ran. From 1994 until 2001, it was an online community called The Park, and it was quite an operation. It was a multi-million-dollar operation. We had about 700,000 members towards the end of our existence, and we had about 80 investors, 160 volunteers located all over the world. It was quite an operation, and it was filled with challenges. Just incredible challenges, and many, many, many sleepless nights, and just extreme pressure and stress. And so it was during that period of time that I was running this business that I was taking notes to myself. I was doing lots of meditating, and I was also taking lots of notes and pulling out all of the wisdom that I could get my hands on. And in 2001, I actually had to shut down this business that I told you about. That's a whole other story about that. But I shut it down. One day I was sitting there with all of my notes, and I was meditating, and suddenly it dawned on me that the notes that I had taken were really, really important, not just for me, but that represented the common ground that's found within the world's major wisdom traditions, and that what all of those notes were sort of that I was responsible. I felt that it's kind of like my responsibility to share that information, because it's not my information. I didn't come up with all of that information. It was kind of given to me, if you will. And so it was in that meditation that the name of the book came to me, which was The Rainbow Bridge, and the name is there's two parts, obviously. The bridge part of it refers to the fact that universal principles create a bridge across these different traditions. And so there's this very powerful bridge, but it's not just a bridge between religions. It's a bridge between people of all kinds, people from different cultures, people from different ages and genders and different parts of the world. And so so the bridge concept is really important. The rainbow aspect comes because it's a completely all-inclusive kind of bridge. It's not a bridge for specific people in the world. It's for everyone, regardless of your religion or race or culture or wherever you live, or regardless of anything. And so the rainbow, of course, is a physical phenomenon that happens all around the world. And there's, out of a multitude of different colors, there's this single bridge that's formed. So the Rainbow Bridge is this kind of multifaceted, all-inclusive bridge, and that's how the name came about. So that's kind of a brief history of how the book came to be.
It was fascinating, and I was seeing so obviously that, your life, your journey here was naturally taking you through experiences where you would understand the connection to everybody that comes from such different places. It started with the 3 different multi-religious families, and then, like you said, the rainbow is available to all of the world. It's not just for certain parts of the world or certain people. And just that concept that you were doing with a social, wasn't it a social, the park that was social like network, right?
Yeah, that was basically a large social network.
Right. So
that was actually the first. That was really the first deliberately, globally, intentionally global online community. It was the first intentionally global online community in the world, which was a precursor to places like Facebook.
Right. And I mean, but if you put it all together, it's making so much sense. And so you were evolving into this so naturally with the way your life was going into these places. And I'm wanting to point that out to the listeners because so many people that listen to shows like this one, they're looking to live their life purpose. They're trying to figure out what it is they can do, and all that. You were just naturally going with that. And that's you, and you loved it. Obviously, you loved it. Or you wouldn't keep revising the same book, right? I mean,
that's true.
That's right.
True. It has been a labor of love, yeah.
Yeah, because you keep building on it, and you find, wait, there's more. You absolutely have your heart in it, your heart and your soul. So that is an amazing story. Now you have all these different. It was 60? You have 60 different universal principles in there, right?
That's correct.
60 of them. That's quite a few. I mean, I don't even know if people realize there are that many.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I think many people would be very surprised, and many people are surprised, to know that there is actually a common ground in all the world's major wisdom traditions. Mm-hmm. And that's what's so exciting to me is that when we cast everything in the language of universal principles and recognize that these principles are common, then it really changes the story because then we can realize that we're much more similar than we are different.
Mm-hmm. Now, what is the global operating system? Is this something that what is that you're referring to?
Sure. So the global operating system is a concept that, well, first of all, so I'm an IT professional actually during the daytime, and so I tend to think about things in a very systematic, kind of logical, orderly way. Mm-hmm. And I've been a programmer of many different programming languages, and so that's kind of how my brain works. And one day it dawned on me that, when you have a computer, whether it's a Macintosh computer or if it's a phone or if it's a PC or a Unix machine or a mainframe, every computer has an operating system, a global operating system for that computer. And the purpose of the operating system is to ensure the equitable distribution of resources in the computer. Otherwise, you could have a program that would suddenly start eating up all the CPU power, all the memory, all the hard drive capacity, all the peripherals. So a global operating system in a computer is very, very important. Mm-hmm. It allows, multiple programs to share those resources. Well, the world that we live in today is a completely interconnected world. What happens on the other side of the world does make a difference here and vice versa. And so we have this completely interconnected, completely interdependent world that we're living in, and yet we do not have a smoothly functioning global operating system. Mm-hmm. And so one day I just recognized, wow, that is amazing. And so when you recognize that the world doesn't have a smoothly functioning global operating system, well, of course we're going to have all the problems that we have. Without a smoothly functioning global operating system, then any program, quote unquote, can come along and start sucking up resources like oil or precious, rare earth minerals or water or anything at all, right? So the world that we live in, when you view it that way, when you recognize that we don't have a smoothly functioning global operating system, then the poverty and the crime and the war and all of the challenges that we're faced with, it actually makes sense that we have those challenges. And so recognizing that we don't have a smoothly functioning global operating system, to me, is a really important point to, number one, understand the need for that. Mm-hmm. And, even before we start thinking, how are we going to create this global operating system? Never mind about that for the moment. the first thing is to recognize the need for a smoothly functioning global operating system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what I refer to when I talk about the global operating system.
Okay. Wow. So, it's interesting. He's an IT that learned transcendental meditation at the age of 12. And, it's interesting. In your, I live in a family full of ITs, Brent.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are looking at me like, what planet are you on right now? Because so I'm around them a lot, and I don't see this combination that often. So for me, this is pretty cool. And you are just, you're taking it, you're listening and seeing, and to me, you're connecting all the dots. You're seeing, it's almost like you're seeing the algorithm that's coming out.
Mm.
You know what I mean by that? It's like
I do.
You're seeing it in between. You're seeing how this thing lays out. You can see that an operating system that was global, that worked for everybody. I see where you're going with that, and it's an amazing concept how you're applying that to that, because I just thought that was beautiful. We're going to take a short break here in just a moment. When we come back, Brent, I would love for you to share with the listeners about the 14-point roadmap to world peace. Absolutely. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Jenn Royster Show. I'm Dr. Jenn. My guest tonight is author Brent Hunter, and we're talking about a wonderful book called The Rainbow Bridge. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break.
Join Dr. Bernie Siegel on Mind Health Matters every first Sunday at 8 p.m., all part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network. Bernie will draw from his inspirational personal journey, offering us special nuggets of his sacred wisdom. Listen in as Bernie reminds us to be fully engaged in life.
The Dream Vision 7 Radio Network presents Kids for Love. Join Deborah Beauvais and her young co-hosts and celebrate kids making a difference. We invite other kids to join in for spirited conversation filled with creative ideas and possibilities to start your own mission. Let's raise the bar together and cultivate a kinder world by getting inspired to help others in need. Kids for Love Project, celebrating kids that empower others. Callers into the show are in a drawing. It's every first Saturday at 2 p.m.
Join us every second Sunday at 7 p.m. for Living on Purpose with Carolyn Romano, where we explore the mysteries, meaning, and sometimes madness of life. Let's figure out together the ways we're meant to serve and become the fullest expressions of our most authentic selves. Let's figure out together how to create lives of balance, abundance, and joy. This program is part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Are you overwhelmed by other people's energy? Do you constantly suffer with emotional drain, exhaustion, or physical illness? You may be highly sensitive to energy and not aware of your powerful connection to spirit. Dr. Jenn Royster is an intuitive spiritual counselor and energy healer that works with the angelic realm and has helped thousands of empathic souls successfully release negative energies, reclaim their personal power, and thrive. Life is to be enjoyed, not just endured. Book your private phone session today at JennRoyster.com.
Take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition Show, Saturdays 2 to 3 p.m. Our message is love in the purest form. The light within us all is a guide to recall our beginning, to learn to love self and humankind, to feel the higher power of our own divinity. To attract love, one needs to be love. Saturday 2 to 3 p.m., all part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
J.T. Lewis is the big brother of Jesse Lewis, who died in Sandy Hook Elementary on December 14, 2012, while saving the lives of 9 of his classmates. J.T. found comfort after Rwandan orphan genocide survivors reached out to him from their country to express their condolences and share their personal stories of tragedy and healing. Inspired by the love that was shown to him, JT started Newtown Helps Africa, a nonprofit organization that helps young people in Africa and beyond who've suffered personal tragedy and have shown resilience. He successfully sent one young Rwandan woman to college for 4 years and plans to do much more, all the while inspiring many young people around the world to turn hardship into an opportunity to make the world a better place. Link on to newtownhelpsrwanda.org.
Life. We can either be bystanders or creators. Now is the time to awaken to your divine identity and the power of the I Am within. To create a joyous and fulfilled life, no matter what your circumstances are. There are answers to life's big questions, and there is a spiritual path that leads to soul liberation and ascension. Join us every third Sunday of the month at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for Prophets for the New Age with Carl and Nancy Showalter on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Join us on Creating a Spirited Life with Janet Kesenick the third Sunday of every month at 8 p.m. We'll explore the day-to-day moments that puzzle, enlighten, and bring us into deeper connection with our best selves. Find meaning, purpose, and humor while creating a spirited life. This program is part of the Dream Vision 7 Radio Network.
Money makes us react. It has a way of eliciting an immediate response. From our home life to our own business environment, money is usually front and center. For CPA Jane Honig and psychotherapist Spencer Melnick, the debate is not about what you do with your money. It's about how you feel, react, and interact when it comes to money. Join us at 6 p.m. on the fourth Sunday of every month to explore the money dynamic, part of the Dream Vision 7 Radio Network.
We are back. If you are just tuning in, I'm Dr. Jenn with the Jenn Royster Show, and my guest this evening is Brent Hunter, and we're discussing the Rainbow Bridge. This is an amazing, beautiful book that he has written. It's his heart, it's his passion. I mean, he has really put a lot into this, and it's about finding that inner peace and then moving forward. Paying it forward is what I call it, into global world peace. And before we went to break, we were talking about the global operating system that he had. So if you've missed any of this episode and you would like to get the entirety of this interview, look for the archive that should be out in the next day or so, and you'll be able to find the links to that on my website, JennRoyster.com, or on DreamVision7Radio.com on my show page. They'll be over there as well. Now, what are, Brent, the 14-point roadmap? What are you referring to? What is that? That's like a roadmap to world peace.
It is.
Okay.
It's a roadmap to world peace. It has 14 points. And let me just start out with this by saying that, as we mentioned earlier, the very first edition of this book came out in 2001, and I have been living these universal principles for 13 years now. I take this very seriously, so I do a lot of meditating on in my life and about these principles, and specifically a lot of meditating and praying about, okay, what else can we do concrete? What kind of concrete and specific steps can we take to use these universal principles to create a better world, to create a world that's that is in harmony with itself. Mm-hmm. And so over the years, I continue to get more and more information, more and more downloads, so to speak, of really fascinating information. And so I've been, as each edition of the book has been published, I've been expanding and refining this information. So this is culminating in this 14-point roadmap to world peace. And what it is it's a series of steps that we can take, because it's very important to pray for world peace, and to think about it, but we really need to take concrete, specific steps to make a change so that the world actually has a smoothly functioning global operating system.
Absolutely. We have to have some action, proactive, exactly. Steps that we take. Absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't, well, I certainly don't believe that I have all of the answers to world peace. I do have, and we have at our disposal now, a roadmap to world peace, which can be kind of viewed as a framework that when we come together and we have an intention of creating a smoothly functioning global operating system and creating this bridge to a new world, that together we will find what the answers are to how to make all this happen. Mm-hmm. So the very first, and so what I've done is there's a lot of information in the book, and I've summarized it into these 14 points. And so the very first point has to do with creating a team of people to come together and to be guided by universal principles, to be guided by this roadmap. And I'm talking about some regular, everyday, thoughtful people, and also Nobel laureates, global thinking luminaries, philanthropists, perhaps leading universities, a really amazing group of people to come together to start fleshing out and implementing some of the ideas that are put forth in the book. Okay. And so that's the first point. The second point in the roadmap, out of the 14, obviously there's 14 points, the second one has to do with modernizing and restructuring the United Nations. The United Nations, there's a lot of misunderstanding about the UN. The UN, I believe, represents probably the most, like the best example or the best effort that humanity's put forward in terms of creating some kind of global operating system. Mm-hmm. The UN has been responsible for all sorts of amazing things in the world, and yet at the same time, it really has a number of things that need to be changed. The UN, just like any computer system that's been around for many, many years, it needs to be upgraded. It needs to be maintained and upgraded and tweaked and fine-tuned and optimized. The structure of the UN, as it exists today, actually represents the structure of the UN immediately after World War II. Because the UN, the primary decision-making body at the UN is the Security Council. And the Security Council is made up of just a few member states, 5 permanent members, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about it, that only 5 countries in the world are able to kind of control, and each one has veto power. So one country, all they have to do is veto it, and then nothing will get through the Security Council. Meanwhile, you have the UN General Assembly, which consists of all the countries in the world, being basically subordinated to the Security Council. That's backwards. It needs to be the other way around. Yeah. The General Assembly needs to be the main decision-making body.
That sounds like that's just causing frustration. I mean, it would,
all sorts of issues, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, obviously there has to be some releasing and upgrading the software, I guess, if we'll use your analogy with computer technology. It's like we've got programs that are outdated. And upgrading those, I mean, that's how we're going to be able to work with the violence and conflicts out there, wouldn't you say? I mean, that's one of the things that I know people are going to say, do you really think this is going to work to help us with what's going on out there right now? What do you say to that?
I say absolutely it will help.
Mm-hmm.
when you recognize that we don't have a smoothly functioning global operating system, then it's kind of every man for him or person for themselves. And, it's the use of force that reigns supreme. Well, that's just, this is the 21st century. We can do better than that. And so this is about creating a better operating system for the world so that we're not having all of the crime and wars that are the direct result of an unfair and unbalanced distribution of resources. And, the primary metric that I use is roughly half the people in the world are struggling to survive on less than $2 per day. $2 a day. Even if you take in consideration currency differences and maybe even barter and trade agreements, it's pretty clear that half the people in the world struggling to survive on less than $2 a day, that we have a huge problem in the world. Mm-hmm. That's a huge problem. And because so many people don't even have the very basics to survive, that only leads to a sense of frustration, lack of hope, a desire to use whatever means necessary to get whatever we want, and so this whole concept of creating this smoothly functioning global operating system is so important. And the UN has been a huge gift. Anytime you go overseas to fly to a different country, you can thank the UN, because it's the different agencies within the UN that are responsible for all that coordination. It's the same thing for communications, radio and television communications. And these are agencies within the UN that actually help to make all of that happen. Mm-hmm. And same thing for mail distribution. If you're sending something overseas to a different country, you can thank the UN. So the UN is really important, but it does need to have very specific changes. And at the top of the list is subordinating the Security Council to the General Assembly so that it's not backwards. And by the way, this point was brought up by Albert Einstein shortly after the UN was formed. And even to this day, it's still backwards. Mm. So it's really important. So we've got restructuring the Security Council. There's also this concept which has been gaining traction over the years, that the UN really needs to be a voice of the people contained within the UN. And by that, what I mean is that the current structure of the UN, the people at the UN are appointed by their various countries. Mm-hmm. There needs to be the voice of the people in there, and we can do that by creating a UN People's Assembly.
Absolutely.
There's a movement around the world that's designed to help make that happen.
Right. Wow. What a powerful point he's making. We're going to take a short break. You're listening to the Jenn Royster Show. I'm Dr. Jenn with my guest tonight, Brent Hunter. We're talking about inner peace, world peace with the Rainbow Bridge. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break.
Join us every fourth Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern for the Jenn Royster Show with your host, Dr. Jenn, on a spiritual journey inward where hope and love bring healing to life's greatest challenges. Enjoy metaphysical topics, intuitive angel reads, guided healing meditations, and inspirational interviews. This program is part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Tune in every first Sunday at 6 p.m. for Maximum Success, the Coach Bruce Show. You'll learn success strategies to take your game to the next level from performance consultant John Brubaker. Maximum Success explores why winners win and teaches you the keys to peak performance. This program is part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Invite the Kids for Love Project, an enrichment program, into your school, classroom, or wellness center. Kids for Love Project is focused on teaching kids unconditional love for self and others. The project is a journey into self-discovery. It consists of fun, creative tools to learn self-love, like I Choose Love, I am love, I stand in love, and utilizing one's energies with reconnective healing and tuning into one's intuition for inner guidance, plus connecting to our natural surroundings. Kids who hold love for self do not bully or harm others. Let's cultivate a kinder world that holds compassion for all. Teaching the power of love to our kids is the way. To learn more or to bring Kids for Love project to your school, contact Deborah Beauvais, 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or go to our Kids for Love project on Facebook.
Join the Mind Health Coach with Leah Marie every fourth Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Come explore with us natural and healthy ways to achieve inner peace, happiness, and an ever-present state of well-being. You're already healed. You just haven't realized it yet. When you're ready, you can change your mind and change your life forever. The power of a beautiful life is within you today. Mind Health Coach with Leah Marie is part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Are you overwhelmed by other people's energy? Do you constantly suffer with emotional drain, exhaustion, or physical illness? You may be highly sensitive to energy and not aware of your powerful connection to spirit. Dr. Jenn Royster is an intuitive spiritual counselor and energy healer that works with the angelic realm and has helped thousands of empathic souls successfully release negative energies, reclaim their personal power, and thrive. Life is to be enjoyed, not just endured. Book your private phone session today at JennRoyster.com.
Edesia is a U.S. nonprofit dedicated to the dream of ending childhood malnutrition for millions of children around the world. Through the manufacture of Plumpy Nut and other nutrient-rich, peanut-based, ready-to-use foods, Edesia has already delivered life and hope to nearly 1 million children in over 26 developing countries. To find out how you can join Edesia's dream of ending childhood malnutrition, please visit edesiaglobal.org.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And welcome to the Jenn Royster Show. I'm Dr. Jenn. If you are just tuning in, boy, we are having one conversation here with my guest tonight, author Brent Hunter. And we really had him going, with his passion on that last segment because he has really put a lot of heart and soul into the Rainbow Bridge. And this is the bridge to inner peace and world peace. Now, before we keep going, Brent, where can people find the book, and how can they find you?
Well, people can go learn more about the Rainbow Bridge by going to therainbowbridge.org. That's .org. And from there are links to Amazon, which is probably the best place where people can obtain a copy of the book. And it's available in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle, also Nook as well. People have that. And but the general information can be found at therainbowbridge.org.
Okay, now that's an easy one to remember, therainbowbridge.org. That's fantastic. Now, you have a giveaway, a free item that you give away as well, don't you?
Yes.
And what is that one?
Yes, absolutely. So it's an electronic copy of the Rainbow Bridge. It's in PDF format. And anyone who would like to get a free copy can go to the following URL. It's free-ebook.therainbowbridge.org.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so free-ebook.therainbowbridge.org.
Okay, I'm making a note. We're going to edit the show page on my website for sure to make sure we have that in there, that link for people that want a free copy. And again, he is saying to get the free copy in PDF, it is free-ebook.therainbowbridge.org. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's where you can find him. That's a great, and you probably have a link in there, I would imagine, on that site to take you to it as well. You were really going about your 14 points and about the UN before we went to break. I know, and how this is going to bring world peace to what's going on out there. And, Brent, just so you know, I mean, when I'm doing what I do, I am seeing that other side of it where people are moving and shifting into that. It feels like it's so slow or doesn't happening to some if all you are surrounded by is the chaos and the crazy stuff going on with the intensity and just the negative. But I do see the other side, and I want to give you that. So what is happening out there with people like you, with your intention, and other people that are about this? It is working. And we just have to keep going and keep that faith and hope. And I do want to give you that because I am seeing that.
Yes.
In different ways. I mean, in fact, quickly, I mean, when I put that article out that I was mentioning at the beginning, when I did my homework, it used to be 10% were, sensitive or feeling, and now it's, up to 20% or 1 in 5. People are starting to care more and want to get proactive and do something. Mm-hmm. So that is part of that shifting. Now, we go back to your points here that you're making in the book on these universal principles. What would be, if you could only say one thing, one principle out of all those principles you have in there, what would be the one you would want to leave the listeners with tonight?
Well, I think probably the most important thing, if people are interested in world peace, the very, very first thing, the most important thing, is to focus on our own individual inner peace. That, and you mentioned this before, Jen, it is so, so important because to the extent that we can do our homework and we can, sort of study ourselves and practice meditation and kind of work on ourselves and understand why we do the things that we do, we automatically not only become more peaceful within our own body and our own mind and soul, but as a natural consequence, anybody that we're around or anybody that's around us is now going to be in a kind of more peaceful environment because we're emanating a more peaceful energy field. And so to the extent that each one of us can focus on our own inner peace, the world will automatically become a better place. And that's really, really important. And so related to that is the concept that it's so easy sometimes to figure like, well, I'm just one person. There's 7 billion people in the world. What am I going to do? What kind of difference can one person make? Well, one person can make an enormous difference. And I think one thing that I'd like to leave is the notion and the concept that each one of us has the possibility and the seed within us for a sense of inner harmony and tranquility, which can spread around us for vast different distances that we can't even begin to imagine. So just by focusing on ourselves, we make the world a better place. And then when we're in action mode, doing things like conducting various parts of the roadmap to world peace, we're doing it in a more peaceful kind of way. Mm-hmm. And anything that we do in our lives is going to be more peaceful and more joyful to ourselves and to other people. So one person can make a difference. Every single one of us is important, and we all have a role to play.
Absolutely. I so agree with that. We really are helping to heal and make the great changes when we do work with our own self, finding that inner peace within ourselves and working on that. Because I believe that all of us as individuals, we are connected to that bigger picture. And so each individual is connected to that bigger picture, just like Brent's saying. I 100% agree with that, because we are actually helping move forward the human family when we do this, when we actually do our part. So that's a beautiful thing that you were saying. Now, you gave us 3 points. Do you have one more that you would like to share?
I gave 2 out of the 14 points. Let me see. Let me just very briefly just mention a few more. There's the whole concept of the global commons plan, or the global the creation of a commons-based economy. There's a whole lot of information that we can look at there. That's very, very important. There's a concept of a carefully planned jubilee, which is something that's been conducted throughout history to basically eliminate debt and to start a new game, so to speak, to allow for inequities that build up naturally over time to kind of be reset. So this whole concept of a jubilee and debt elimination is really, really important. The idea of the departments of peace and ministries of peace around the world, this is very, very important. That we continue this pattern of increasing these kind of entities in various countries around the world. That's another aspect, another point in the 14-point roadmap to world peace. There's something in here about the gross national happiness concept, or the happiness index. The main key being that everybody wants to be happy, and yet if we're not measuring happiness or trying to, we're not likely to move closer towards something that we're not even measuring. So, happiness concept and happiness index, these are really important. There's a variety of other things, but those are a couple items from the list.
The book is beautiful. Please, everyone, go check it. Go check it out. Just going through, you can see in the beginning of the book when I look through it, there's like a page or two to each topic, and then when you go into the second half of the book, it goes a little bit deeper, really pulling these concepts together, because if you have that inner peace, now you're sharing that energy with the world, and that is the road to world peace, just like Brent is saying in his book. He's put a lot of heart into this, and it's a beautiful gift to the world. Brent, I want to say thank you for this gift to the world, because it's beautiful.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Absolutely. If you are looking for all the links, I'm going to make sure they're all on my website as well. I'm going to give the links out one more time. Brent, if you want to go check out the Rainbow Bridge, it's therainbowbridge.org. He has a free PDF of the book, and that is at free-ebook.therainbowbridge.org. And if you're looking for the archive of this show, or you want to listen to us on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, we will be broadcasting on Thursday at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m., and you can also find all the links on my website at JennRoyster.com, JennRoyster.com. Let us know your feedback on the show. You can write to me over at my website. Just go over to contact. You'll see all the links right there. Let us know if you have anything you would like to share with your thoughts on the show. The listeners to us are very important. This is a family we've been building for 5 years now here with the Jenn Royster Show. And you know that I send you love all the time. You matter to me. And I want to wish everyone much gratitude for being a listener, and a very happy Thanksgiving holiday, because it's coming up. And for those that may be alone, I want you to know that we're only alone when that's the way our thoughts are. You're never alone, because there's so much out there that we have that supports us in the universe. I wish you all much love and happiness as you find your inner peace and you contribute your inner peace to world peace. Thank you so much for being with us, Brent, today.
Thank you so much.
You have a beautiful, blessed holiday with your family as well. And
you too.
Thank you, listeners. We love you. Namaste.
You've been listening to The Jenn Royster Show, part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network. Join us every fourth Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern for a spiritual journey inward where hope and love bring healing to life's greatest challenges. Learn more about Dr. Jenn and pick up your free meditation gifts at JennRoyster.com.